had my share of V12 Lamborghinis, right? This was my first Aventador. It was an Aventador Roadster 2015, and it was absolutely beautiful. Like, it was modified by Novitec, truly a pretty car. Like, it's just a fantastic car. I really enjoyed it. And it didn't come with Bumblebee here, but the main thing was, this was a great Aventador experience. And it wasn't without its faults. Like, it had issues. It didn't do very well with the single clutch, and it was annoying. And then that evolution came and continued. And I had a series of cars from the Aventador S to the SV to multiple SVJs, and then finally the ultimate SVJ, without mentioning two Aventador Ultimates as well. But this was the best SVJ I have ever bought, / probably one of the hottest specs ever made for an SVJ Roadster in existence, with the beautiful all-add Personam orange interior, with a $700,000 sticker, factory Neo Nemesis paint, and another $100,000 in mods on top of that. So this was and is, in my opinion, one of the most spectacular Lamborghini V12s ever made. Now, you may have seen that Lamborghini just released the latest leaked, I guess, pictures of the Aventador replacement. Some of us got to see it early, someone leaked it on the internet, and it's a variation of this, really. It's like a Technica version of this. It does that Technica thing in the front here. It has the Centenario sides. It has some elements from the Scion, like the headlights. So it is basically a recycled product again, and a lot of people were disappointed because they said maybe it was time to let this platform also die. Now, it is supposed to be a 1,000 horsepower dual clutch transmission monster, so it will probably do very well from a performance standpoint, especially because Lamborghini did something pretty incredible with the Aventador. You see, the Aventador was a stunt car. Like, it was a car you showed up in, and there was really nothing like it. There's nothing under $1 million that looks like this and really gives you the exciting feeling that this gives you visually. Until the SVJ, I also would have said, you know, there's probably 100 cars that drive a lot better than Aventador for under $1 million. But now I can actually say with the SVJ why this is probably one of the best cars under $1 million anywhere at any time for any reason. And it's pretty incredible. I mean, just look at it. It's large, it's beautiful, it's incredible, and because of its, you know, rear wheel steering, and because of its performance and ALA system, it just handles and drives so beautifully. Even though you have a single clutch transmission, it's the best of its type, and it drives almost like a dual clutch. I mean, it's just glorious on every freaking level when you're really getting on it. So it's a really exciting car. It's one of my favorite cars of all time. And the question that I get more often than ever is, will this Aventador, not necessarily this SVJ, but will the V12 Aventador become collectible? So we've seen this occur across the board for cars as they are getting older, like the Countach, the Diablo, and then of course, after that, the Murcielago, and now the Aventador SVJ. So we have seen the premium version of something go to the roof, right? Like old SV Diablos, we've seen Murcielago SVs, we've seen SVJs go way up in price, ultimately become collectible as they become discontinued. But the argument is, well, these prices go up, these prices come down. What is it? Is it staying up, coming down? But that's always been the case when something is newer. It only eventually goes up and stays up once it becomes collectible and older. And so a lot of people asking me, is the Aventador V12 ever going to be a collectible? I'm going to tell you this. I don't believe any Aventador S or Aventador base model or 15 or even like the old SV will become highly collectible. I believe that SVJs and Ultimates will eventually become incredibly collectible, but just not yet. So if you're in it for the short term, don't do it. It's a waste of time. It'll go up, it'll go down, and it'll just drive you nuts. If you're in it for the long term, buy one while you can and put it away. And let me tell you why. It's not just about the V12 part, because they'll bring another V12 on the next one. It's not just about the non-electrified part. It's just the idea that the car is going to be the last of its kind. And it's true and especially this particular version. I've always said that the Huracan Performante was undervalued, and I've always said that the SVJ was undervalued. Now, I'm gonna retain that statement and again say that this is probably one of the greatest cars made of all time, and that is why you should invest in one now. And the other reason you should invest in one now is because a lot of people are unloading them afraid that the market is coming down a little bit. And this is important because when a lot of people unload something, that means you get a lot of great specs on the market. One of the reasons I haven't sold this car, because I've had it for sale for a while, even though it's my favorite car. Remember, I'm never attached to the car, always attached to the money. And the more important thing here is, just like I teach you at Exotic Car Hacks, it's not about flipping cars. I've enjoyed this for 2 full years. And if someone wants it more than me and it can make me a profit while I've enjoyed it, it is time to get rid of it. And I will eventually, once again, I've put a couple of Altimas away in a garage, so I'm not worried about having a V12. The argument is, since I don't drive it, someone else might, and this is a very irreplaceable spec. Now, specs like these are on the market right now, but in 2 years, in 5 years, they will become harder and harder and harder to come by, and you'll have to settle for more average specs at higher pricing. So the argument is, even if you paid a little bit more now and the market went down, great specs won't be around. That's why it makes sense to buy these right now. But this is a lot of the stuff I teach at Exotic Car Hacks. And if you want to learn how to drive and hack cars for free, or collect cars in order to actually create a very healthy hobby rather than one that just depletes you of all your money, click the link in the description and learn about car hacking for free, or join Exotic Car Hacks. We have 20,000 plus members and we all love exotic cars. Lots of owners, future owners in there, great for networking, and more importantly, great for learning how to get in and out of cars and of course, stay current with the market. But this Aventador, I think the SVJ specifically, because of the ALA system, because of what it was, because of the fact that it has a Nürburgring record, it has so many things for it that makes it special. And I think in the long term, I think this will be very, very special. And I think that's why I highly recommend the SVJ as a collectible V12. Now the argument is the same as this AMG GT Black Series, which is the exact opposite of this. It's beautiful to look at, it's incredibly boring to drive, it performs incredibly well on a track. It's just not it, but nonetheless will be very collectible in the future based on the fact that it is going to be a very exciting car for its era down the road. For now, it just sits here because it's boring. This, on the other hand, is not boring. It's an excellent product. It's probably the best product out there for the money. And yet, it's not that much money. And yet, it hasn't become collectible enough because the units haven't left the market. So when they do, this will be, and that is why I highly recommend the SVJ for anyone trying to collect an Aventador V12 before it's too late. So get it, click the link, and make sure you subscribe, like, and turn on notifications, and I'll see you next time for Exotic Car Hacks.